Let's talk about this workbook. What I want to achieve is that we make sure that you're ready from the outset. And remember that it's for nutritionists as well as naturopaths and herbalists. It's not just one or the other. Everything I do includes a nutrition factor because I believe, deeply believe, that nutrition is the basis of what we all do. So I make sure that we talk about nutritional supplements as well as herbals. So I try at all times to cover everything because I deeply believe that nutrition is so much to do with our health, and digesting that nutrition is one of the biggest things. Hello and welcome. Mentoring with Geraldine is a bite-sized practitioner podcast for naturopaths, nutritionists, herbalists, and practitioners. This podcast responds directly to your needs, the needs of the practicing natural therapist. With interviews, herbal discussions, something business and something clinical each week, you'll get the variety you need and enjoy to stay motivated in practice. Welcome back to Mentoring with Geraldine and the Bite Size Podcast. I'm so happy to have you here today. Well, what have I got for you? What have I got today is let's do a workbook together. So if you pop to my website, geraldineheadley.podia.com, and you go to the waitlist for, what does it say here? It says the waitlist for the Graduate Mastery Program. So that's on the top bar, or if you're on your phone, there's 3 little lines and you can do the drop down, and there's a PDF download there for you. And I thought we should work through that today so that you really know what it's all about and its purpose. So I'd love you to join the waitlist, and everybody on the waitlist, obviously I'll contact you and we can catch up. But let's talk about this workbook. So with the Graduate Mastery Program now, what I want to achieve is that we make sure that you're ready from the outset. Okay, so you're going to get the CPD because you're going to get lots of education that you didn't have in college. So pediatrics and some women's health. We're going to be going through education, how to use PubMed, researching for practice. There's a lot of stuff that we're going to go through. And remember that it's for nutritionists as well as naturopaths and herbalists. It's not just one or the other. Everything I do includes a nutrition factor because I believe, deeply believe, that nutrition is the basis of what we all do. So I make sure that we talk about nutritional supplements as well as herbals. So I try at all times to cover everything because I deeply believe that nutrition is so much to do with our health, and digesting that nutrition is one of the biggest things. So, when your clients, their fingernails aren't any good or whatever it is, and you're like, well, you're bloating, you're not digesting. How can you get the good stuff that you need through to your hair and nails if you're not digesting properly? It all starts in the gut, as you all know. You're sitting there going, yeah, Geraldine, get on with it. You're preaching to the converted. We already know that. But I just wanted to double check. I've got lots of nutritionists in my programs, as well as naturopaths and herbalists and practitioners. So now, hopefully by now you've got your download, and if you're anything like me, you've either A, printed it out, or B, put it on your iPad. I use this wicked little app. Oh my goodness, what's it called? I'm going to have to close the app to figure out what it's called. Notability. I use this wicked little app, Notability. Oh, it's just asked me to review it. Obviously, it can hear me. And I put it into Notability, and then I can write as I'm listening, and I use that all the time. So with the Graduate Mastery Program, this is your pre-stuff so that we know where we're going. Okay, so you've downloaded it. Hopefully I've given you enough time to get there, race in there, and download it. If not, don't worry, keep walking or doing what you're doing, and you can download it later and you'll know what I'm talking about. It'll all be self-explanatory because you will have heard it. So on our first page, actually the first page is the title page, isn't it? The second page, just some simple questions, some things that you really need to think about, and what are your other resources? Because do you want to work part or full time? And this is a big question because there's a number of portions in this. When we think about the fact you're working for yourself, so there's nobody else, there's not a background, well, there might be a background job, but if you have got a background job, then you know that background job pays into your superannuation, it gives you holidays, it gives you sick leave, gives you all of the things, maternity leave, whereas your own job doesn't do that. So what I always say is look at the amount you want to earn over the year and divide it by 40. Because if you divide it by 40 weeks, you might be intending to work only have 4 weeks off a year. So of course, 52 minus 4, we're going to be looking at 48 weeks. So you think, well, why am I dividing it by 48? But that doesn't take into account any sick leave, doesn't take into account any emergencies, any care that you've got to give to others. So I always say, look at how much you want to earn and divide it by 40, because then you're able to go, okay, can I spread this over the year? Have I got that emergency blanket happening? Have I got a bank account to which I'm putting my earnings like how much I pay myself, my own salary? Do I have a bank account, a savings account, so that I can save for the mortgage, and then that savings account then becomes an offset account that I'm offsetting my mortgage interest? So do I want to work part or full time? Because I mean, so many of us mothers, and we've got small children, you can really only work part time if you're caring for others, or you might be a carer. I know a number of my mentees are carers for their elderly parents, which means you can't work full time because you're caring for others. And that's part of what we do in this caring profession. But it's a caring profession that has to earn you money. It's a job too. It's not just something, I mean, it is something we're doing for love. We've found a job that gives, that we have a passion for, that we really want to succeed in, that we want to share this, preaching to the converted again. I'm sure you're all listening to this going, yes, Geraldine, I want to share everything I've learned with everyone, get on with it. But we have to make sure that we're paying ourselves. Otherwise, we just get dragged down. So we need to look at that. And some people are, that naturopath's so expensive. Well, maybe that naturopath has actually worked out that to have superannuation, to earn money as a salary so that they can go on holiday, and so to cover their sick leave and their benefits, they actually have to charge that much. It's not that they're ripping anybody off. That is the baseline for the amount of work they're doing, the amount of research and everything else they're covering. So that's something we really need to think about. Okay. So are you going to be part or full-time? Divide that desired income by 40, or the current income by 40. Now, do you want to mix your occupations? Now, a lot of people are like, that's all I want to do. I just want to do the one thing. And that's fantastic. But what I found is over the years that I can't just do the one occupation. I love doing other things. I am a bright, shiny object kind of girl. And so that means that I like a variety. So for a long time, I nursed. I left New Zealand and I traveled and I had the best time, and I was working in pubs and restaurants, and I ran restaurants and I ran pubs, and I had the best time in the UK. And then I trained to be a nurse in the UK. And then whilst I was in my nurse training in Cardiff in Wales, one of the nurse educators said something about she'd had an operation, she'd been in pain, and there's a whole story behind it, but she was also a natural therapist, and she'd ended up giving, I think it was homeopathics to people in the ward, other people in her situation. And that ward lost its teaching registration and things like that. All sorts of things happened as a background to that conversation. But it was really interesting. And I was like, wow, there's other things out there other than medicine. Really? And of course, my diet was lousy in the UK. I was drinking beer and I was eating chips and curry sauce. Oh, thinking about it now. Anyway, so I was younger then. I was younger and I was a nurse. And we used to go into town, and there was nurses' night in the pubs, so we didn't have to pay. And they wouldn't let us buy drinks. They'd make everybody buy drinks for us. It was great. You just had to have your nursing ID with you. I don't know if they still do it, but it's great fun. Anyway, do you want to mix your occupations? Because it might be you don't want to leave your old occupation. It might be that you really enjoy your old occupation. So I was a nurse for a long time. I trained to be a naturopath, and I carried on nursing because I really enjoyed my occupation. I really enjoyed the sameness and yet the complete difference, the intensity, all that adrenaline when I was on working as a nurse. Loved it. I was drunk on adrenaline a lot of the time. And so it might be you don't want to leave your old job. It might be that you really enjoy parts of it. And if you were able to do parts of that job and able to work in your natural therapy business part-time, then that would work brilliantly for you. So think about, how is it, are you going to mix your occupations? The only thing I would say is that your other occupation can't have homework. So, and I say that because with nursing, I would finish my shift and I would come home. I'd work like you wouldn't believe while I was there, but then I would finish, I would ride home, I would sort of detox my mind on the cycle home. I would get home. If I had to talk about it, I would talk about it. But that was how I, processed the day. And then that was it. That was the end of my day. Although I was utterly exhausted, I didn't then have work to do. I hadn't brought work home with me. And I think that's the important part, is if you do have two occupations, because as a naturopath, a nutritionist, a herbalist, natural therapist, you've got homework. You're in there on PubMed, you're studying, you're researching. So you really have to think, what is it? Like, I can't have two lots of homework. So the other job can't have homework. So teaching full-time and trying to be a natural therapist on the side is really difficult. You've got a lot of marking to do. You've got class. You've got to sort out your classes for the next day. You've got to make sure you've got everything ready to go. So it's really hard to do that. Part-time teaching, or being at what in South Australia they call an SSO, so a support worker in the classroom. Both of those bring with them a reduced workload, in which case your natural therapy can be seeing the client and studying as well. But you can't have all this additional workload coming home with you. And do you want to work with others, or do you want to work alone? Now, that's a big one. Most of us come out and we end up working by ourselves. And that can be a really tough gig. And that's why I've developed the Graduate Mastery Program. It was just called the Graduate Program, but others have decided to use that name for their courses now, which is a good thing, I guess, because it means they've realized the value of what I do, and copying is the greatest form of flattery. So, more kudos to them. But, I started the Graduate Program, and now called the Graduate Mastery Program, because I realized just what it was like coming out into a world where there's no one. Imagine getting the support that nurses get when they qualify, or physiotherapists or anybody else get when they qualify. We don't get that as an actual therapist. You just get kicked out the door, off you go, figure it out. Here in Australia, so in the UK we didn't. In the last 6 months of our training, we ran the ward and we did everything. So I was sort of ready to come out and get on with it. Not brilliantly ready, but sort of ready. Whereas in Australia, they have 1 year being in a graduate program, which is why I named it what I named it. And so that 1 year, when they came out, meant that they would be in different places in the hospital. They rotated through different areas, and they had the support they needed because they were always with someone. And I think that's really important. It's what we don't get in natural therapies, and why I developed the Graduate Mastery Program, which opens its doors again next year on the 12th of February. So, do you want to work with others? Do you want to work alone? If you want to work with others, who are those others going to be? You're going to look around for a room. You're going to need to discuss all these options with someone, and that's part of the course. You can discuss where you're going. There's one-on-ones with me throughout the course. So, and there's all the different environments, and they're listed there. And are you going to work online or in person? Now, obviously 2020 has been a bit special like that, hasn't it? We've been, in rooms, out of rooms, with masks, without masks, it's like a little cha-cha, isn't it, really? But that has developed the online space for practitioners, and that has broadened the space in which you can see people. So, I see people from all over the world. I've got people from all over the world in my mentoring groups in the academy and on my 90-day program. And that's absolutely brilliant, because all of these things are transferable, and it doesn't matter as long as I'm probably a Commonwealth country, I should say, is because we understand we have the same base sort of legal stuff. So it's much easier for me to deal with people who are in Commonwealth countries in some other countries, should I say. So, and are you going to work with someone, or are you going to work independently? And when I say that is, it might be you're a nutritionist and you've got a friend who's a naturopath, and she or he doesn't like particularly doing meal plans or anything like that, and you as a nutritionist love doing meal plans. So you can sort of imagine yourself working really well with someone else and setting out a program that would work brilliantly together, so that you are supplying your client with everything they need within a program. Then the next page is, this one is the Imagine, and in numerous places and all over the place you can listen to the visualization. And because where do you want to see yourself in 5, 10, 15 years from now? What is it you want to be doing? So I didn't know, I didn't know that I would end up working online when, 15 years ago I'd qualified as a naturopath. Well, bit before that, but close enough to 15 years ago. It's around it. So, and I was actually putting it off. I was putting off becoming a naturopath 15 years ago. And I was only seeing people and I wasn't charging them. I was going, oh, I'll do it next year. I'll do it next year. I'll do it next year. I'll just see my friends for now, or just people that ask me. And then people that asked me became more and more and more. And then finally, one of the people that asked me, and I said, oh, no, I won't charge you. She said, that's ridiculous, Geraldine. Let's get you sorted and let's just do this. And then you can see me for free because I'm going to sort your systems out. Come on. This is what I did in the UK. And so she helped me out to actually do it 15 years ago. So, but 15 years ago, I had no vision that I would have a podcast. Were there podcasts 15 years ago? They probably were, but it would have been difficult for me to create one. Did I think that I would be running groups 15 years ago? I knew I'd be educating in some way or other because of course, all my nurse training. And part of my nurse training was teaching in the practice setting. It was an English National Board course that I did, and it's all about educating others, teaching them your skills. And that's what I do, and that's what I bring into my teaching. It's very different to being a teacher because it's all very practical. It's like, and it's very much mind mapping and in my brain, not necessarily having the mind map written out. Not everybody mind maps in the same way. And that's something I've discovered over the years. So just saying this is the way we're going to do it is not the way to do it. But I didn't imagine 15 years ago that I would be here. What I did imagine 15 years ago was that I would be in a really big practice, treating lots and lots of people. And 10 years ago, that's what I was achieving in my own home. So I had a big practice in my own home, and I was seeing exactly the right number of people for me. I was working it out over the 40 weeks, as I've said to you before. and but the money, I was spending a lot of money because the money that I was bringing, my husband works very hard. He works very long hours. So I had small children 10 years ago, or children that needed lots of running around, I should say. I had 10 years ago, they were 10 and 7. So I was running them around all over the place. So I could only fit in what I could fit in. So I had the maximum practice I could have at the time. I had people on programs and I was loving it. So, I could, where I was at the 10-year point, I'd definitely imagined that. This 15-year point, no. I had not imagined that I, like anyone else, we hadn't imagined 2020. I used to watch those apocalypse. If something actually happened like that, how would we behave? Isn't it interesting? Lots of those people in those movies have behaved the same way as they would have. So back to the book. So where do you see yourself 5, 10, 15 years from now? And what has gone well for you in the past? Now, you might think, well, what is the point of that question? What has gone well for me in the past? Well, that's what are you good at? What's gone well for you in the past? It might be that you were really good coaching, you coached at school and you helped with teams and you were really good at that. And it might be that you need to develop a coaching program for your client, because we look back at the past and go, what was I good at? If I can think of things that I was good at, how can I extrapolate those things over into my business now? Okay. So that's why we want to know, what's gone well for you in the past? What systems worked for you? How could you have developed that? How could you swap it into what you're doing now? What inspiration and skills can you draw from prior learning? And that's part of that, isn't it? It's like, well, I was a nurse, so of course I'm bringing all of that stuff, all of that prior learning into my naturopathy and nutrition and my herbalism. Of course I am. And my hypnotherapy, and imagine all of the ways you can bring all of this information into practice now. And then what does this all look like for you? And really, I'm a dot point type of girl. I haven't given you a whole heck of a lot of space. You might want to write more than that. But at the same time, just remember, it's the dot points that we read. We don't read the long, long paragraphs. So the next thing is, what motivates you? I've turned a page, by the way. What motivates you? What keeps you strong? And who supports you emotionally and financially? So, when we start out, we do need some financial support, but we do not want to go into debt. I have never, ever gone into debt with my business. Everything that I purchase, I've purchased out of monies that I've earned. I do not have a credit card. I have a debit card, so I can't buy anything unless I have the money. And that keeps me motivated. That keeps me really motivated. And then when I get to a certain amount in my account, I transfer the money straight out and into the offset account. So it's not there for me to look at and go, oh, what can I buy? Oh, how exciting. I might just buy an additional something or other. I might just got another course. No. So, no, I really make sure that I'm removing I have my business account and I have a savings account attached, because I already had a savings account, then I opened a business account. And then I've got the other bank where monies can go to offset. So my tax and my salary go into the offset account. So you're meant to have a separate tax account. I do know that, but we don't remove money from the offset account. So, and it's all sort of catalogued in there. So it's not really a big deal for tax. So, the other thing it asks you in here is, who do you look up to? Mentors, professionals, cool people, and what learnings have you got from them? What can you see that's good and bad from them? So, I hope that because you're listening to me, you look up to me and you think, wow, she's got loads to share and loads to give. And so I'm going to go and give her a 5-star review. Subscribe, follow, and share it with everyone. I'll just whisper that into your subconscious there. But what is it that makes you think, yeah, Geraldine can teach me stuff? What is it that other mentors, other really cool people and professionals, you look at them and you go, oh, they're maybe so organized, or maybe what is it about them? Okay, what is it that you see from them? You think, yeah, that motivates me, and I could then use that system or that skill or whatever it is in business, okay, or in my business, I should say. And what do you enjoy doing the most? Now, that's really important, because you enjoyed something about naturopathy and nutrition. That's why you studied it. Chances are you didn't do this straight out of school, or if you did, there was a reason. There was a real health reason that you did it straight from school. But the majority of people who go into natural therapies have had a life event. They've had an illness or something's happened to them. For me, it wasn't. My daughter, I think, got eczema, but I don't think that was really a defining moment. I just got into it because I sort of fell into the classes and it was just super interesting. That's another story. Anyway, but what is it you enjoy doing the most? Because what is it that you can give someone else to do? So that woman who originally came in and helped me out, she was like, your files need sorting out. And she helped me to organize a decent filing system. Then she said, what is it I haven't organised anyone. And then she said, what about your accounts? Where are you keeping those? She then organised my accounts drawer, but then realised just how much I hated doing it. She said, you need to do it every single week and set a time for it. I still hated it. Years and years I hated my accounts, absolutely loathed them, and I would avoid them. I filed them all nicely so that I could then hand them off to the accountant, but I still had to do that work and I still hated it beyond anything. And then 2 years ago, I just decided enough's enough, and I got myself a bookkeeper. That was one of the best investments. My cleaner and my bookkeeper are the two people that keep me sane, I reckon. And 2 years ago, I got a VA as well. And maybe 3 years ago, I got my bookkeeper, and 2 years ago, I got my VA. And they have just helped me massively to do the things that I don't enjoy doing, so that I can be here with you talking, so that I can be online. I can do Training Tuesday and Strictly Education and Support. I can be creating the webinar that I've got formulating in my mind about PubMed and how to organize and how to discover what you need to discover and create the not protocols, because I don't like protocols in our business. So to create those things. So I've got this formulating in my head. I've got an old webinar that just needs some spruiking and doing up, because it was a short webinar and it needs to be a full educational webinar, so I can't wait to spruik that up. I've just had some mind-bending ideas, bright shiny object ideas, but not really, because it's a webinar I already have that needs updating. So I've got time to do that because I've got people doing the jobs that I don't want to do. But often there's someone in your house who doesn't mind doing it. So when I was doing them, my husband's so busy. He works so many long hours. But I would say to him, you have to help me now. I'm at the end of the financial year and I have to separate out all of this paperwork and make sure that it's all in one place. So he would say, okay, let's do it now. And he'd sit down with me and we'd just go through it. Now, if he wasn't working so many long hours, it might be that he would be the perfect choice. That I could say, could you just spend, an hour a fortnight just helping me sort this out? And I would have got it done. The kids, I got them, and I had to put all of everybody's email addresses up into a mail delivery system, I got the kids to do it. I said, come on, I'll pay you. You have to sit there and type in all their email addresses and then separate them out. You have to do this, that, and the other thing. And my son was 15, I think. My daughter was 12, so it's like 5-6 years ago that they did it. And they just sat there and they just went through it. So they weren't very old, but I paid them and they were thrilled and they didn't mind doing it at all to get some cash. So these are the things, what can you palm off? What can you get other people to do for you? Then the next page is about setting SMART goals. And in college, you will have gone through SMART goals a lot, but there's a nice reminder here. So SMART goals are specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and time bound. So, or you can think about them as being significant, meaningful, action-oriented, rewarding, and trackable. Now, I don't know who thought up either of those, word systems. No idea, but they are just perfect. And I prefer the second set, the significant, meaningful, action-oriented, rewarding, and trackable, because with your SMART goal, relevant, that's great, has to be relevant, but if it's rewarding, it just makes us want to do it, doesn't it? Time bound, yeah, well, that means there's an end goal there. Great, thanks a lot. But when it's trackable, that means that we've got this longer vision. So I do prefer the second set of words instead. But, our goals, they need to be stated in a positive way. They need to be precise. We need to prioritize and we need to write them down. So I do love my diary. I use the Passion Planner, but there are thousands of different diaries out there. And often in the groups, people will be comparing their goal diaries and their systems. And it's really worth having a look around. At my last retreat, we used the pages from the Passion Planner because you can download them for free. I buy the books every year. I love them. Beautiful, lovely to write in. So that's what I use. I don't have an affiliate link for them. I just think you just go and get them, and worth it, well worth it. And then you've got something to write in. So you can write them on the plain page I've given you here, or if you've downloaded from the Passion Planner, you'll be able to get them from there. So please go into Podia. So go to my account, obviously, nobody else's, geraldineheadley.podia.com, and it's just /waitlist-GMP, or you can just go into geraldineheadley.podia.com, and it's on the top bar as the waitlist for the Graduate Mastery Program. And so that starts on the 12th of February, and we're really going to be looking at you in practice, because you're getting 4 one-on-ones with me. So the first one's an hour and the other ones are half an hour. And then if you join up ahead of time or right on the first day that cart's open, you'll get an additional one-on-one with me as a bonus. There'll be a number of other bonuses as well, and that everyone will get. So if you sign up beforehand, then you'll get all the bonuses. So it's people miss out on bonuses, but those ones who sign up before definitely get the bonuses of the one-on-one with me. There'll be checklists, there'll be swipe file, there'll be all of the brilliant stuff that you need in your clinic. Because if you're not feeling confident, like I sure wasn't all those years ago when I qualified. I took a year to start. I won't start yet. Or I won't really start. I'll just see all these people for free, or I'll just practice. I just need to finish all this paperwork. I just need to make sure I've got this stuff. And I just left it. Whereas the second round, I think, of the graduate mastery program that I held, one of the girls, Sarah, she joined before she qualified. So that meant that she had her system set up and ready to go as soon as she qualified. And it meant that she could then qualify, finish her exams. She was with me, but she took a holiday. So you must take a holiday when you qualify. She took a holiday, and it meant that she didn't immediately burn out. So it's really, really important, that you've got your clinic set up, ready to go, and that, you're not overwhelmed with everything and you're not overthinking those clients, because you've got, within the graduate program, we talk about your clients. We're not talking about your clients. We're talking about my clients. And those first few webinars are pediatric focused. So we're really talking about pediatrics in that first month and a half, and then we're moving over to women's health. But it's really, really supportive of you, because we're talking about your clients, what's going on with you. You can break down your clients in the group and we can really talk about them. We're going to streamline those systems for everybody when they do, everybody in the course, because we've got these one-on-ones, so we can find out where everybody is, where they're at, what they're doing, and make sure that their systems are set up for them, because we all want to do different things, don't we? It might be that you want to really focus on programs rather than as many one-on-ones, so that's going to be completely brilliant for you, because as part of the graduate mastery program, you're automatically in the academy. And on the 23rd of May, we've got a day in the academy. So all the academy members and the graduate mastery program members and people who are in the 90-day program, if they happen to be in the 90-day program at that time, people who are in my next level program, they're all invited to this one day. And we're going to work through from start to finish developing everybody's program. So rather than me running a course, it's going to be a day, and we're just going to sit down and make sure that everybody has got everything worked out from start to finish planned. You won't have it all completely done, but you'll certainly have it planned, and that is the point of that one. So you can join the academy if you're not into the graduate program, if that's not your thing. The 2021 is going to be a new and different year for us all, and so that's why I've changed the graduate mastery program ever so slightly. It was a year-long program. There were more lectures, whereas this one is more focused on, yes, there's still a lecture set, yes, you still get CPD, CPE, whatever you want to call it, but everybody's going to get more one-on-one time with me, because it's something I've really noticed with my 90-day group. Well, they're not a group, they're 90-day participants, and that it's very focused. They need that focus. And so I think this is going to be an absolute game changer with the graduate mastery program. The individualized appointments as well as the group sessions, and we've got the bonus sessions. Then towards the end, we move into a next level group. And that's really exciting, because my next level group has been running, it started just after the first graduate program finished, because people in the graduate program were like, well, where do we talk about our clients now, Geraldine? What do we do? So we went into the next level group, and we talk about clients, and there we talk about all things to do with everybody's business, what they're doing, where they're going, what they're trying to achieve. And there's a real focus to what they're doing. And so we're actually going to go into our own next level group within the graduate mastery program, so that there's that understanding of that mastermind system, that you're masterminding within that group. And it's absolutely brilliant way of doing it. So, and of course, you're a member of the academy. You get all of the things if you join the graduate mastery program, and everything's recorded. I record everything. Everybody gets to go and watch everything again and again, and you have lifetime access. When I say lifetime, if something becomes out of date, I have to remove it because it's clinical. So if something turns out to be wrong, it's got to go. So but I will always tell everybody when things are changing. So like I had everything in Teachable, and then I moved it to Podia. So I tried my best to tell everybody in Teachable that the stuff had moved to Podia, and I'm still getting emails, and I go, I just sort of go and look at something and I can't access it. I'm like, oh no, because I moved it on. I used ClickFunnels for a while as well, and that was really clunky. So there's a few people who are still looking for their things in ClickFunnels going, well, where is it? I'm like, no, I stopped using that. totally stopped using that months ago. So no, please come to Podia. So everything's in the one place now, and everybody can watch the replays in there. There's Facebook groups, of course, attached to many of the things that I do, so that there is a community, and so we can have, I can do my trainings and they can be recorded into there. So obviously you have access to that for as long as Facebook allows. Long as Facebook decides they're still going to be as they are now. I can't guarantee anything there because I don't own that platform, but I do obviously with Podia. Everything's there. Everybody gets to watch everything. Everybody gets to go through it. So please go and download from the waitlist, the Graduate Mastery Program, download this workbook and the Graduate Mastery Workbook so that you can really start fleshing out some of this information ahead of time. There's a big intake form when you join so that I really know where you're going, so I know what your goals are. So it's a really good idea if you flesh some of those goals out already before I speak to you and before you join the group. I think it's really important that we have business goals, but we also have business values, that we know who we're focusing or targeting, and that can be within a niche. So we do talk about the niche. It's really hard to figure out a niche when we start out, and it's just as hard to figure out a niche when you've been in practice as long as I have. So now I know who I don't see, so I have a very specific, no, I don't see that. I don't look after those people and I refer them on. And other people, it's just, now I'm not seeing very many people at all. I am seeing people, I'm seeing all my returns, and some people do choose to see me, but I'm just referring on the majority of them to other practitioners who would suit them better now, because I want to focus on you guys that are listening. I love the fact that I'm here with you doing what you're doing. What are you doing? So when I listen to podcasts, I walk in the morning. So 3 mornings a week, Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, I walk with my husband. He walks to work, and that's about 12 Ks. Oh, no, it's a bit less than that. It's about 10K walk, I think, for him to get to work. And so I walk sort of halfway, then turn around and come back. And on my walk back, which is about 4Ks, something like that, I put on my podcast. And so I listen to my podcast. I don't listen to me on my podcast. I listen to me now. It's come out okay. I don't listen to me as I'm walking, sorry. And then I do listen to them as I'm, Sunday's my big podcast day. I love listening to podcasts. I wander around doing all the jobs. If there's jobs to do, often I will leave jobs to another day and I won't do them on a Sunday. But I listen to podcasts as well on a Sunday and really love them. Doing the dishes, bring the laundry in. When am I in your ears? That's really interesting one. Obviously, a couple of them have been meditations, haven't they? So hopefully when you're listening to those, you're sitting somewhere safe and sound and you're not up to anything too exciting. But anyway, it's probably overstay my welcome in your ears because it is supposed to be the bite-sized podcast. So I really look forward to our next interaction and being in your ears again soon. Please go and do the, follow, give me 5 stars so that other people are then able to find me on their favourite podcasting channel. So it's been brilliant talking to you, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day, afternoon, evening, and I'll see you soon. Thanks so much for joining me today. Don't forget to rate, review, and subscribe to the podcast for the weekly episodes. If you'd like even more support and learning, then the Academy is for you. Here you'll find part 2 of the herbal discussions, more clinical learning, and case studies to support your clients in practice. Bye for now.